What's up, everybody? It's Sam Highmarsh here from Interstellar Audio Machines, and we are here for another installment, another episode of the Interstellar Escape podcast with our illustrious friends here. My brother from another mother, Eric Bice.
What's up, guys?
Baby?
How you doing?
Just another day, man. Just another day. And then we got Vince over there too, hanging out in his mid-80s, jazzercise studio.
That's the only thing that happens in here. I got on my spandex with the leg warmers.
Bro,
Richard Simmons in here.
Every time I can't stop talking about it. I love the colors back there. It's vibey as hell. You know what I mean?
You got to come out here and work out with me.
Have you guys seen that show? I think it's on Apple TV. The one with oh God, what's her name? I forget it, but it's all set in the 80s, and she's like a dancer girl. It's kind of like a dark comedy kind of thing. No, am I alone on this one?
Yep, for sure.
That's fine.
I haven't seen that one.
What do you guys watch? Stuff about?
Just got done watching Breaking Bad.
You just got done just now?
No, I've seen it before. I just rewatched it.
Yeah. That's like me and Band of Brothers. I've watched that probably 50,000 times.
Yep.
All the way
Entourage.
through. Entourage. I've done the Entourage run at least 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
That's always quality entertainment.
And then you got to add the movie at the end.
Yeah, the movie. Man,
The
I don't think I've watched the movie more than once.
It's all right.
It didn't have the same.
It's not as fun as the series.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Did you watch Entourage, Vince?
I have not.
Oh, what?
I'm what you would call uncultured.
Well, you were in the army. They shelter you from stuff. So
Yeah. We watched Band of Brothers, but that was pretty much all we were allowed to watch. Yeah.
What's that one movie? It's some military movie, right? And then they're all deployed, hanging out, and they're playing Call of Duty, and they're like, man, what do you what do you want to do when you get back to the States? And he's like, man, I just want to sit down and play Call of Duty. It's and all his boys are fucking pegging him, motherfucker, we're living Call of Duty. You know what I mean? I forget what movie that was, but I thought that was pretty funny.
Call of Duty definitely doesn't have the same effect now than it did before.
Yeah. Man, I was a huge first person shooter video game, since we're just segueing into that now.
GoldenEye.
Halo. Oh, GoldenEye. That's
God,
taking it back, bro.
007, baby. That's where it started, and then you got, Halo.
Well, you want to say where it started. I mean, we could talk about Wolfenstein 3D.
GoldenEye was the first where you could play with other people, but they had to be that. They had to be in the same room.
There was the Wolfenstein 3D.
Yeah.
Duke Nukem had a big thing for a while. I remember playing those on PC back in the day with my dial-up connection.
Yeah, I was playing Quake and stuff back on dial-up. Yep.
I mean, I remember thinking, there's nothing better than this thing they call the internet and all these chat rooms that I can talk to people from around the world. I'm talking. I played soccer in high school, so I was talking to some dude from Australia about soccer, or start talking to people in Europe or any other part of the world for that matter, and they're like, football, idiot. It's football.
Mm-hmm.
You use your foot and you kick a ball. I'm like, what? Huh?
Stupid American.
Stupid American.
That's right.
All right, so this week, boys, what are we doing? We're doing pro pedalboard basics, right? We're going to enlighten some folks on what it takes to kind of, dial in a super snazzy pedalboard. So in case you guys are new to our podcast, our boy Vince here, well, over here, there we go, from Vagabond Audio, he is kind of like a pedalboard master / wizard / magician. I don't know. Eric, you got any other cool names for him?
I think you nailed it there.
Yeah, I feel like I did. That's one take. Boom.
Boom.
Podcast over. We're out.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Vagabond Audio. Peace.
Vagabond Audio. What? But yeah, so our boy Vince is going to really kind of, I think, take the heavy lifting on this week. On this one this week. I can sit over here. What I should have done, man, I should have thought ahead. I could have just put a 6-pack in here and challenged myself to finish it before the end of the podcast.
Drink every time someone says
Yeah, well, that's a sure way to go to the hospital.
Well, if you're giving me lead this week, you're going to be drinking a lot, boys. Just going to say that now.
But yeah, so I think we're going to cover a lot of things. See, there's 2 ums right there. That's this is where the graphic take a shot. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Dude, I could just take off. I'll let Vince talk here in a minute. And let you run with it, Vince. I'll just disappear for a minute. I'll come back with a couple beers. Whoa, that's not...
And another plate of spaghetti.
Another plate of spaghetti. I did have one of the best plates of spaghetti that I've made in quite a while. I ventured into the schmeat, the veggie meat. Man, I'm telling you, I tried this new one out, and it was awesome. It was awesome.
Lost a little bit of respect for you there.
No, see, I play all sides of the fence when it comes to that stuff. I like to, I'll throw down on you guys. You want to go to a steakhouse? Let's go do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Meat and potatoes all day long.
I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed to have that stuff though.
What vegetables?
No, the vegetable made.
Oh, really?
Meats. Yeah.
The plant-based meat.
The plant-based, the grains.
The grains.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this one was something called Dr. Prager's for all you veggie lovers out there. It was pretty damn good. But we'll go back to music talk. What do you think? Yeah, so pedalboard building. So I will kick it over to my boy Vince. I'll let you jump into it and kind of, get the people warmed up to what's it all about.
So I want to start off with a question for you, Sam. What does your pedalboard look like?
Well, at what time in my life did my pedalboard look like? Like, are we talking about Tour Sam when I had my life dialed in? Are we talking out in the beginning?
Let's go Tour Sam, because we like to navigate the pro level of things.
Well, I guess we could. You had a pretty good pedalboard.
We've got a lot of time in this episode. I think we could do a couple iterations. I'll be real quick. I'll be brief. So I remember starting in the beginning, having like a volume pedal, right? That was it. Couple lazy, crazy, hand-me-down patch cables. You know what I mean? I mean, you're laughing because I bet you probably did it in the beginning too, right?
Yeah, those like Hosa brand.
Oh, dude, just garbage.
Cheap cables, yeah.
The shit that they'll just like throw at you at Guitar Center, like, oh man, you know what? You don't have any money. Just take this, man. Get out of here. Get out. No. You're not ready for monster cables or whatever. I don't know whatever the Mogami cables or whatever. But yeah, so then I stepped up from having no pedal board to, remember Boss back in the day? I don't even know if they still do this, but Boss had
those
like a
slotted ones,
the molded plastic ones. It's like, hey, you bought a Boss pedal, you should buy like 4 or 5 more and put them in here.
Yep.
We made this perfect like slotted little board that you can put all your pedals in. So then, at this one point in my life, I had a little, like, I actually had a job that I kept for a while playing music. Surprise there. And so I had some money, and Eric's laughing. Man, it's hard out there for a pimp. You know what I mean? So I just went on this little buying spree. I got like this credit card from a Guitar Center, and they're like, yeah, man, run it up.
That's dangerous.
Oh, super dangerous, especially when you're a young kid and you don't know what you're dealing with.
At 30% interest.
Yep. At Guitar Center.
They're like, it's all good, man. Just buy them, bro. Yeah, so I bought all these different Boss pedals. So I had the nice Boss pedal board for a while. And then I realized, there's all these other manufacturers out there that have all these other cool friggin' effects pedals. I got to dive into that. So I started, mixing it up. Okay, so we'll fast forward from that. After years of different, trial and error, messy board to molded plastic board to had a Velcro board that I Velcroed everything down, started trying to get a little cleaner, but that giant friggin' Pog
oh God,
was taking up like 90% of the real estate. Love that pedal. Love it. Love it. Amazing for live, amazing for studio. But yeah, it does take up a lot of real estate. So then I kind of moved into, the double-decker guys, and then I thought I was a really cool guy with 1 million effects pedals. And then I realized this is way too many crazy effects pedals. What am I doing? So then I kind of came into my own of really kind of focusing it up, especially when I played bass in some bands too. So that was a whole new kind of, because I was a guitar player by trade, guitarist, singer, songwriter guy, and I just fell into some bands playing bass, and kind of going down that road, you know, grabbing a Sans amp, but ultimately just having I got real like religious with it, making it super clean. Like my board was going to be deliciously like ordered. Nothing's going to fail. None of the cables are going to fail. You know, I stepped it up to, you know, proper cables. And again, you're going to talk about all this stuff, I'm sure. Power supplies, right?
Yep.
Power supplies have their own little nuances and stuff like that. Different kinds, different you know, sounds that really come through your board. So yeah, I mean,
sorry to cut you off. Didn't you have your wireless also mounted on your board?
Yeah, for the bass stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember helping you in, and like you had it all dialed in. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. So Pelican case, platform. This was just the tour rig, right? Because you know, we were doing clubs, House of Blues, places like that. Nothing too crazy. We just wanted easy. So yeah, Sans amp, tuner, the wireless rig at the time, you know, everything zip tied, Velcroed. So yeah, there's my 4 or 5 minute diatribe of my experiences.
It was pretty. I'm very OCD, and when I saw everybody's equipment, I judge.
Oh no, yeah, me too. That's if I'm at a gig and I'm playing with other bands, or I'm just there to see the bands play. That's one of the first things I'm looking at. Like, what does your pedal board look like, and is it neat?
Yep.
Like that's my first impression of you. If your pedal board looks like trash,
yep,
I probably am not going to like you to start. And I know that's not the right way to do it, but no. Alas. But
well, some artists are just so chaotic.
Oh,
they have to have somebody else do it for them.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of the clients that I've come across are they were very much like that. Whereas like I want it to look nice, but I don't want to take the time to do it, nor do I know how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just pay somebody to do this for me.
Yep.
So, luckily that keeps me in business. But the thing that you said, you upgraded to proper cabling, your cable management, zip ties, all that kind of stuff. That's something that a lot of people overlook completely. They're like, oh yeah, patch cables, you know, I'll just throw a couple of $5 patch cables on there, or they're using those solderless patch cable kits that drive me absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And 10 years ago, maybe more, I was an advocate for those because, you can cut them all custom length and everything, and now I realize how stupid I was. But one of the main things, obviously, is cables, is soldered patch cables. It's overlooked by a lot of people. People swear by the solderless cable kits, blah, blah, blah. But soldered cables make a huge difference. And I guess kind of foreshadowing a little bit, I use Mogami brand for all my cables. It's a gas tight connection with low profile like the square plug connectors, but it's maintaining the signal integrity going through the entire board. So that's probably the main thing I would harp on is cables. It's you'd be surprised how many boards I look at and they're using 5 or 6 different types of cables on the board, and it's just whatever they have laying around to connect everything. Well, so
let me stop you right there. For a lot of people that might not know, I know you kind of just tossed it out there. You said the low profile connectors. Why don't you tell people a little bit more about that aspect? I mean, I'm sure you were, but just since you mentioned it.
So the hottest ones on the market now are the square plugs. They're like the pancake type of plug, but they're square per the name, but they allow you to, I guess, to push cables closer together for one.
So if you have a giant hog.
Exactly. Yeah. You're not using those bulky right angle connectors. They take up a lot less room. You can use thinner cable with them. So it's very similar to those. It's basically the same size as those. Those are the ones on that board are called mini cakes. They're made by Creation Music Company. It's the company I get all my pedal boards from. But they're basically comparable to the square plugs. That's their version of them. So same size. It keeps everything low profile. It keeps everything really neat. So, man, she's pretty.
I love this board.
You did that, didn't you, Vince?
I don't know. It looks familiar.
Yes.
But the square plugs are like the main one on the market now, and they recently came out with new connectors that you can now use with instrument cables and mic cables, that sort of thing. So, to foreshadow a little bit, for you, when you were using your cables, what were you primarily looking at for your board?
For me?
Yeah.
So I guess again, this depends on the time in my life, but yeah, I mean, space was huge. Space was huge. Pedals with top-mounted jacks are a nice thing nowadays versus the sides, right?
Big time, yep.
That was always a big thing. Definitely keeping consistency with the type of cables I had used. I think you mentioned that already. Once I learned how crazy it'll change it can change your sound. I mean, once you get used to hearing your own kind of scenario coming through.
That's a good shot.
Am I frozen?
You were.
You were. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You were like this.
Huh? Oh. From my side, it was really trippy because I thought I entered like a K-hole because it was like, hit it, hold on. You know what I mean? It was all like echoey, and I was like tripping out. Yeah, it was S. Hindmarsh, beatbox supreme.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, man, consistency, really high quality cables, same type of cables. If I could get space on the board, that was huge. Especially when I was playing guitar, I had way more effects than I did when I was ever playing bass. So space was a premium.
And the goal for every guitarist, and I've suffered from this and probably still am, is cramming as much as you can on the board. Getting every effect that you can possibly need right there at your feet, and using the bulky cables you're not going to get that.
No.
And with cabling, I had never understood. I walk into some band that I've never played with before. I get a call, and like they have $3,000 PRS or Strat. They have a $2,000 amp, and then they just got crappy whatever cables they can find out of their milk crate at home.
It drives me so crazy. It's because people are so willing to drop $3,000 on a new amp and $2,000 on a new guitar, but they're, like you said, they're using whatever they can throw together for a pedal board. And the way I like to explain it to my clients is that it's an investment.
Yeah.
If you're going to be willing to throw $3,000 at an amp, if you're going to have pedals, do the same thing. And not that you need a $3,000 amp or a $3,000 guitar or whatever, but if you're going to put that money into the rest of your gear, do it for the thing that's at your feet. It's part of your rig.
Yeah.
So invest in it. Make sure it's actually going to withstand going out on the road.
Yep.
And a lot of people, when they'll come to me for a quote, I come back with them and like, it's expensive. And they're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. I need to save the money or I can't do it right now. And I get that 9 times out of 10. But it's an investment. Like if you're going to do it for everything else, do it for this.
Yeah. I mean, you don't buy that expensive guitar to get a tone that you're going to lose as soon as you hit the cables. Exactly.
That you're going to plug into a DS1 with a crappy power supply and and crappy instrument cables going into your 2-rock amp or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, same thing with drums. It's like you're going to buy this expensive drum set and you're going to put crappy heads that are used, never changed, whatever. It's like,
exactly.
Why?
Yep. It's another part of your rig that is often more neglected, if anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing I do want to touch on, and it's not as common, but it's a pet peeve of mine. Do you know those coupler cables? They're mainly used like for Boss cables. There's no cable. It's just the 2 connectors side by side.
Oh yeah.
I hate those.
Do not use those.
It's like a plug. It's like off center each.
Yeah. those will ruin your pedals.
Yeah.
Like you're just asking for damage at that point.
Yeah.
Like, anybody out there that's using them, stop using them. You will ruin your pedals with them.
So for all the newbies that might be using them, so you say you're going to ruin them. Why don't you just explain like why? Like how is that going to mess up their gear?
So there's no give on them. There's no like on a cable. There's cable, so there's some give. There's some leeway on both sides of it.
Mm-hmm.
With those couplers, like say you're plugging two Boss pedals together with those. If you step on one of those pedals, it's just through you pushing the pedal down, it's forcing that coupler to also be pushed down one way, and it's picking up the other pedal by its jack. So at that point, you're ruining that pedal. Like you're basically compromising the integrity of the jack.
Yep.
So you can actually completely destroy the connection on that jack within that pedal. So there's a bunch of videos on YouTube about it, people warning you not to use them and whatnot. It's just there's no play in it at all. So if by pressing one pedal you're ruining the other and vice versa.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just one of those things. Just stop using them. And when I first built my like real pedal board for the very first time, and this was back in high school, I bought like 10 of them for my board. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna use the hell out of these. And now I look back and I'm like, you idiot.
Yeah. Man, I remember. So back to that same thing, like when I had like the Boss molded board and like the Boss little patch cables or whatever, that felt like they were like cheap polyester vinyl. I don't know. You get what I'm trying to say though, right? Like they were like, is this like a toy or is this serious gear? Because I don't know. I'm not really feeling the serious vibe off this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Hey, we all go through our process.
So, of course. We all make those stupid mistakes at first.
And that's why you watch our podcast, so you don't do that
right.
stupid. See, I muted myself that time.
That's right.
There you go. So what else you got, Vince?
So my next point is buffers. It's another thing next to cables that's often overlooked. Nobody understands why you need them. So your guitar has pickups. Those pickups, at least in a passive pickup scenario, it's pushing out a high impedance signal. So that high impedance signal needs to be converted to low impedance when it hits your pedal board. And it's the same process as plugging in your guitar into your amplifier. It's taking that high impedance signal and converting it to low impedance.
Yeah.
So what a buffer does is it takes that passive signal from your pickups, converts it to a low impedance signal, sends it through your board. You have a buffer at the input, the very start, and again at the output at the end, and then you go into your amplifier. And that basically maintains the signal integrity going through the entire board, regardless of how much cabling you have. Because we all know the more cabling you have, basically, is just one giant antenna.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you use those buffers at the beginning and at the end, and it maintains that signal, and it basically preserves it so that way it sounds just like you're plugging your guitar directly into your amplifier. So
what if you have a pedal like the Octonaut that has a buffer switch inside it, or true bypass? What would you do?
So the ideal scenario is guitar into an input buffer, all true bypass, going into an output buffer, and going into your amp.
Okay.
So that just kind of maintains your signal going throughout.
Yeah.
So say something like the Octonaut, for instance. If you can turn the switch to true bypass, I would recommend doing it.
Yep.
Now, of course, that sort of changes the pedal itself because the Klon Centaur is historically a buffered pedal.
Yep. Now,
the specs on that buffer comparatively aren't ideal. So if it's like one of 3 pedals in your chain or whatever, it's going to be okay. You're not going through a lot of pedals, so it's not going to have a huge effect on your tone.
Yeah.
But in a case where you're running a full pedal board, you'd want it to be true bypass. So another thing people don't quite pay attention to or may not even know is, say the Octonaut, for instance, if you have that as an always on pedal, like you just want it as like a clean boost or just a light gain, you keep it on all the time, that pedal is now serving as a buffer.
Okay.
Because you go guitar into an input buffer and then 3 pedals down and then you're hitting that Octonaut that's always on. That Octonaut is the buffer because it's now buffering your signal because it's active.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't realize that. So if you have an input buffer and then you go into a compressor and that compressor is always on, that input buffer really isn't even doing anything. So that compressor is because it's the furthest thing in your chain that's active and engaged.
Yeah.
So now that's buffering your signal. And it's true for any guitar pedal that's active and on. So ideally, you want to have your buffers at the front end and back end, true bypass in the center as much as you can. And, you know, if you do have always on pedals, it's not the end of the world. It's not going to destroy your tone or anything like that. But you want to try to keep it as much true bypass as possible.
Yeah.
And, you know, your vintage pedals, Boss pedals, they're all buffered. So you kind of have to be aware of that sort of thing. Because there are vintage wah pedals, fuzz pedals mainly, are all impedance sensitive. So if you have them after a buffer, it's not going to sound right. They're all very impedance sensitive. So like a fuzz face, you want a guitar into the fuzz face and then into an input buffer, because just based on that circuit, it's going to be all messed up and it's not going to sound quite right. So there are a lot of things to consider with this sort of thing, but buffers are. I get this a lot. Like, you know, why do I need a buffer? You know, my rig sounds fine the way it is, but then you don't realize the difference once you actually have the buffers.
Yep, exactly.
You realize that, you know, that some of that like high end sparkle is now coming back. So it's one of those things that I like to harp on with clients, and nobody understands it.
Yeah, I saw something where Josh Scott was talking about on their podcast. He tells his clients fuzz pedal, guitar to fuzz pedal, always.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then they'll tell him like, well, yeah, it's the first pedal in the chain. He goes, well, do you have a tuner before it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, go to the fuzz pedal first.
Exactly.
Then the tuner.
Yep. Because if you're running, say, a Boss TU3, for instance, it's buffered.
Yep.
So now you're putting guitar into a buffer into a fuzz face, so which is not what you want to do.
Yeah. So
now they have like the Boss TU3W, the Wazacraft version, where you can turn the buffer on or off, or like the TC Electronic Polytune 3 with the buffer in it, and then you can turn them on or off.
Yeah.
So now ideally you want to have your tuner first in the chain, but if you have a fuzz, like you said, put it first regardless.
Yep.
Yeah, that's funny, and I've heard that before, but when I was starting out, I definitely didn't hear that before. We should actually do a whole episode probably at some point about
like a chain.
You know, yeah, exactly. Like how to align your chain and talk about that too. Maybe we could even talk a little more about it depending on how much time we have in this one. But yeah, I was always like, okay, tuner first was always like what I thought was the solution and what I'd seen other people do, other amateur guys too, right? And could never get close enough to the stage with all the pro guys unless I could, you know, mosh my way up there. I was a pretty skinny beanpole guy. So that's a funny side note. So me and my friends,
he's tall.
And I'm tall. So I'm 6'5" and change in real life, right? So I'm this tall guy. So everybody hates me if I get anywhere close to the front, right? They're just like, oh man. Which, by the way, can I say fuck you? Can to all the people who gave me all that crap over all the years? I love going to shows, man. I love being at shows. I love obviously performing, but I love being in the crowd too, man. And I want to be, you know, I want to be in that front. And people would they'd be like tapping me on my shoulder. I'd be like, what's up? Like, what's going on? They're like, could you move? Are you kidding? Like,
I mean, bro, I'm here, dog.
Yeah, like and this is like at a rock show too. Like you're in the pit front zone. Like even if you're not like a pit swirling kind of band, you know, rock band, pop rock band. Like okay, we're gonna bounce around or whatever, but like, dude, like take it back up to the cheap seats if you got an issue with it. I'm just like, man, tall guys out there. I know you hear me. I know you've been through it too. So I feel you. I don't even remember what I was talking about. What was I talking about? Somebody bring me back.
Looking up at the pros pedal boards.
Yeah, exactly. So couldn't even get close enough. Oh yeah. So me and my friends were at shows, right? This is what we would do. Because I was super skinny, super tall, super skinny. So and my friends were a little, stockier dudes. So what we do is we just like, we bounce into the music. Yeah, all right, all right. I'd turn sideways. Two of my boys would like ram into me. I'm like the wedge, right? I'm teaching you guys how to break into the pit. I'm the wedge. Get out of here. That's leverage, folks. That's like physics. We're picking up the physics track in here. So they would like pop a hole and they would just push us all through. Dude, I'm telling you, it took us a couple of shows to figure it out, but we had it perfected, man. And we'd get down there, man. But then of course, at the bigger shows, they've got the big, the space between the stage and the crash barricade and all that stuff. So, but back then we didn't know anybody that knew somebody to get us on stage to go look at their gear. We'd always be like, hey,
you didn't know me. You didn't know me, dog.
Yeah, I didn't know you then. I hadn't developed any relationships yet. I'm thinking back to, the good old days, the beginning.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Then you watch the smaller mid-level bands that are on their way up and they're playing in the smaller clubs. You might get close enough to kind of see their board a little bit, but you really couldn't. Like, oh man, what are they playing? Popping open the magazines to read what they were playing on their board.
Yep.
Anyways. Okay, we'll go back to serious stuff now. Go ahead, Vince.
Like back in high school, I was always reading the rig rundowns, and they do the pro pedal board.
Hell yeah.
Issues and everything, and every show I've went to and still go to, I'm always looking at the pedal boards. It's like porn for me.
Yeah.
Stupid as it sounds, but
it sucks being a musician and being on that side of the stage to go to shows because you don't just soak in the show.
Yep.
We think about we know what's going on back there. We want to see their pedal board. We want
exactly. Yeah, no, it gets to that point where I don't even watch the show like I should be because I was like, oh, look, what amp is he using? Oh, so whatever settings.
Yeah.
Or what pedal is he using and all this kind of stuff, and I get so fixated on that sort of thing, I just forget to pay attention to the actual show.
Yeah.
So it's my curse.
Just drink
next
more.
thing.
Just drink more.
Oh yeah, no, that's happening either way.
I'm like, I'm right there with you. Like, a couple beers in, oh man, what are they playing? What are they playing? A couple more beers in, I'm like,
yep. Yeah, it's a problem. Yeah. So the next big thing, power supplies, like you mentioned earlier.
Definitely.
So I'm sure back when you were starting out, the biggest thing was the Voodoo Lab pedal power. It was same for me at the time. That was the biggest power supply in the market, or the main one. Mm-hmm. Every pedal board had a Voodoo Lab pedal power on it, and they're not bad power supplies, but comparatively now, they're not great. They have improved. The old ones, the Voodoo Lab, the Pedal Power 2 Pluses are not as good anymore, but they've all improved and stuff. But like on that board, Eric, you're using the Strymon Ojai. You want to use something like that because it's what's called a switching power supply, whereas I guess to get into the specifics of it, the old Voodoo Lab Pedal Power 2s are a linear power supply. Without getting too much into it, the linear power supplies will actually create what it's called, I guess an electromagnetic field.
Does it cause a loop? No.
It can, yeah. It causes noise. If say you put a pedal on top of the power supply or using a riser or something like that with pedals over it, it can create noise.
Yeah.
So a switching power supply, kind of like the Ojai or the Strymon Zuma or any of the True Tone stuff, they're switching power supplies. Yeah. So those aren't going to give you any noise. And because they're switching, you can actually use them in US or Europe, 120 or 240 volt. So you have that flexibility with them. And typically they give you a little bit more power. So each of your outputs has more power to it than the old Voodoo Lab stuff. But I've seen a ton of boards with, the $30 power supply you can buy on Amazon.
Yeah. And
you're just going to run into a ton of noise. Like, your pedals aren't going to work quite right. If it's not getting the exact voltage it needs, there's going to be a difference. So, without harping on it too much.
Can you tell them why? I was always told, I mean, maybe you know better than I do, it's bad to daisy chain like those one spot daisy chains. It's it's actually bad for your pedals.
Yeah,
that's what I was that's what I was about to talk about. Like for guys beginning, you know, right? That they're like, oh, I don't need this crazy power supply. Like that was me. Like I had just a bunch of one spots. Anyways, go ahead.
No, and I started out that way too. I bought my very first pedal board was a Gator board with the crappy 9-volt power supply. I still have it over there in a pile that I refuse to throw off for some reason.
Dude,
but
I'm sorry. I got to stop you there. I'm the same friggin' way. I literally was going through a box of stuff, just Sam's like music gear. Stuff that obviously if it's in a box and it's all sealed up, I obviously don't use it.
Probably not using it, yeah.
But, I popped it open. I was looking for something the other day, and I pulled out like this 4-track, like digital, recorder with the little, little cards that you slipped in there. I'm so curious. I should actually pull it out and see if it even works and listen to what's on those, what kind of crappy band rehearsals are on there. But dude, I'm not going to throw it out. I've got rack gear that I'm never going to use, but because I used it back when I was starting, I'm like, for instance, like my first, like 8 input XLR input,
your Digistake?
Kind of, yeah, something like that. It might have been like a Digi something.
Digirac.
Yeah, exactly. Well, basically, I got it so I could record bands. Right when I was trying to make some money on the side, I'm like, oh well, if I can have 8 mics at the same time, I can record drums
that you're never gonna use.
Yeah, I can record a drum kit. Let's go. Yep. I still have that. It's way antiquated, but maybe it'll all come around, right? And maybe it'll be worth something someday.
You can hope.
Hey, you want to go for that shitty, like, late, early 2000s sound?
I have super lo-fi.
Come to my studio.
I have a ton of rack gear I won't throw out either.
Yeah.
That I will never use again.
Like I have this power. It's literally sitting in a pile over there. All of the wires just in a big ball of like it's just a clusterfuck. And I keep looking at them like I'm gonna find a use for that at some point. It's been sitting there since last summer. In the same spot.
There's a rat making a nest in the middle of
it. Dude, seriously, it's just in like a big ball of fuck, and I don't know what to do with it.
I pulled this out to show Eric, and I completely forgot, but now this conversation's got me talking about it.
Oh snap!
Look what I found this in that same
that was our tour book
2012.
That told us every venue, every route we needed to go, every hotel.
Travel day. Dude, we should talk about this one of these days. This thing's legit. Look at this.
I was over-organized. Yep.
Yeah, but it's good to have at least one person in the band that's doing this. Look at that.
I didn't drink. I don't drink, so.
Yeah. So what? Look at this. You had the capacity of the venue, the promoters, the emails, the merch situation, tickets, advanced ticket, like. Tour cost, our guarantee, all that stuff.
I advanced the whole tour.
Yes,
that's smart.
But you see, like the it's something mold is going on there, dude. Look at this. My name is even on the back of this thing. Like, geez, that was. Remember
that was a fun tour.
This is still in there.
Nice.
Damn.
Anyways, sorry. That's just throwing it back to old school stuff. Speaking of stuff we never throw away. But I pulled that out because I was like, oh man, I gotta show Eric this. But what better time to do it than on a podcast that has nothing to do with that?
But it does, because eventually people will go on tour with these pedal boards.
That's true. Hey, Eric brought it around.
It all works around.
I'm glad you made the connection because I was looking for it. I couldn't find it.
He was lost. He's like,
yep.
What the Sam? We're talking about pedal board. Like construction here, building pedal boards.
It all comes around at some point.
Smells like vodka, guys.
I trust the process. I've learned that if we go on a tangent, it's going to come back around somehow. I just wait for it to happen.
That's a drinking game in itself too.
Oh yeah. I had a few other notes that I'll save for the signal chain episode.
Okay.
That's cool.
The only other thing, I guess 2 more notes. It's not necessarily like a must have. It's just one of those tips. Like it's kind of nice to do. You had mentioned it earlier, like the double decker sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Having a riser on your board
Yeah.
can save a lot of space. Kind of give you access to that back row of pedals without having to worry about turning off your front row or knocking the knobs around. A lot of the old touring boards that I used to see, that that people would put tape over their knobs so they wouldn't accidentally kick it and stuff. But the riser situation, yep, I did it for years and I didn't know how to fix it. But now most of my boards I use risers, so the whole back row is completely elevated. You don't have to worry about any of that. So it's just a sort of a pro tip for people out there. Use a riser if you need to.
And take ballet classes if you're a guitar player or you're going to use a lot of pedals. You got to take ballet classes to figure out how to just get your foot, just so perfect. Like, I got to hit this one then this one real quick. You know what I mean?
That's why I use a switcher then.
Yeah. See? But I didn't know about that yet. I was just like, oh, wait, what am I doing? I don't know what's going on.
Oh, no, I spent probably 10 of my 15 years playing, honestly, probably more than 10 years, tap dancing.
Yeah.
And it was, you get good at it after a while, but it doesn't get any easier, per se.
Yeah.
You just learn how to balance real well on one foot.
Then you just start writing songs like, well, I could do that effect, but no, that's too hard to switch live, so I'm just going to.
Exactly, yep.
Or you get OCD and you get one of those looping stations so you can hit one thing that turns on 4 pedals. And
yeah.
That's exactly what I have now, and it's amazing. I really wish I would have switched to it sooner.
Which one do you have?
I'm using the RJM switcher, the PBC 6X.
I love
and
that.
It's basically the brain of my entire board. I hit one button for different parts of the song.
Yeah.
And it does everything I need.
It's got all the screens on it with the different colors.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
one.
I have it set so each bank is a different song, and I can scroll through each song as I want to, and then each one has like 4 presets. So different parts of the song, I hit one button and I'm good. I don't have to tap dance anything. It's all there. It changes all my presets, on all my MIDI stuff, and it's a lifesaver.
Yeah. And your Guitar Tech programs all that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Me.
Guitar.
Like I'm rebuilding my board
Techs?
right now. Yeah.
What are those?
If I know. Must be nice to be in that touring world to have all those luxuries.
Those are nice though. Those RGMs, I like those.
No, I swear by them.
I heard the Boss
great.
GTRs are pretty good too.
The what?
The Boss GTR, I think it's called GTR.
Oh, their switchers?
Yeah.
They have the ES5 and the ES8.
Oh,
those are pretty popular.
Yeah. The black ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are. I mean, they're similar to the RJM stuff, but the RJM is probably the top of the line switcher. It can do everything you need it to and more.
Yeah.
You can, like I said, mine is the brain of my entire board.
Yeah.
I have that one, and then I have the much bigger one that I tried to build like a rack pedal board touring sort of thing with for local gigs, and I tore that apart about a week later because I don't have a Guitar Tech, and I'm the only one carrying it, so
yeah.
That went away quickly.
Back in the day, it was the Voodoo Lab one everybody was using for a while.
Yeah. Yep.
But
you see them every now and then, but they're not as common because they're essentially obsolete now.
Yeah.
But
by the way, I just remembered what that show was. 40 minutes later, it straight up just popped into my head.
Here's the punchline. Go ahead.
Yep.
It's really not a punchline. It's just a show called Physical with Rose Byrne. Bernie.
I've never seen it.
Yeah.
No idea.
It's a dark comedy. She looks kind of hot in it though, like that 80s hot.
It's on Apple TV.
Yeah.
So,
Remember that movie she was in with oh god, now I can't remember the comedian's name.
So we went from RGM.
The British comedian.
there's a lot of
Sarah
them.
Marshall. He was in that movie with forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Russell
Brand. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, she was in the movie with him. talking about my ring around my dirty posy. We'll just cut this part out. Don't worry about it.
These segues get more and more ridiculous.
So he said GTR, you said RJM, I say 123.
Sure.
But so you said ES8, ES5, but isn't it
Yeah.
GTR, ES?
No, the
Okay.
GTR. I don't know where you got that from. If I'm being honest, but
I literally was just at a studio and they had one. I thought it said GTR on it. Maybe I'm mistaken.
it's not the Boss. The Boss. They have the GT Core and the GT 1000.
Oh man, yeah, man.
But those are just regular multi-effects units.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like
All
similar to like the Line 6 Helix type of stuff.
right. Okay.
So it's possible that's what it was.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, you're right. You're right.
so-
I'm wrong. You're nice. I'm mean.
That's all I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Just tell me I'm
Every day.
right more often.
Let's just put that on loop for like the rest of the episode. You know what I mean?
No.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I mean, considering I do the editing, I mean, I think we just finished the rest of the episode right there.
I think we're done. Wrap
dis-
it up.
I'm disappointed in your neighbors though.
Oh,
I
I
didn't hear-
haven't heard any either.
Yeah. What the heck?
Maybe the cops
And-
are out tonight, staking it out. It's
I
possible.
told you
And
to
the-
Venmo them some gas money, dog.
Dude, I'm
Gas
serious.
gas is expensive.
We should set up a little link, maybe a little QR code for people. Bing bing, send us money to pay.
Donate to the
people.
cause.
It's right.
Because we do have a lot of thirsty people out there. There's no car going across the stream that says now it's time to take a shot. I mean, I'm sure they could play a drinking game because everything comes back to drinking. By the way, for consummate ex-road guys
Yes.
that don't really drink like we used to.
If you want to see a bunch of functioning alcoholics talk about gear for an hour, you're in the
You're
right
in
place.
the right place. Ding, ding, ding. That's what we should call the show. 3 functional alcoholics and 1 that drinks non-alcoholic beer. There's something there. I feel like we could write up like a screenplay. Try and sell it to somebody.
Screenplay.
It's a show, man.
I see nothing wrong with that idea.
Man, Netflix is throwing money at everybody.
All right.
They're
So
canceling everything right now. Yeah, anyway.
so Vince, get back to your spiel.
So the last thing on my list is something that, again, people overlook, are instrument cables.
Boom, boom.
And with that, I'm going to tag you in, Eric.
We are starting to make through Vagabond Audio Interstellar Audio Machines Hyperdrive instrument cables and patch cables. So we hopefully will have them released by next month and start putting them out there. So when you purchase a pedal through us, you'll have a instrument cable, patch cable to go with it. You can purchase extra. Vince, explain the kind of nuts and bolts of what's inside that whole thing.
Yeah.
So for the patch cables, we're using Mogami brand 2314. It's thin, low-profile cable, low capacitance. I use that on every one of my board builds. I have for 2 years now and never had an issue with them. They're highly reliable, low noise, no issues. Honestly, you could run them over and they work perfectly. With that, we are using the, as we mentioned earlier, the square plugs.
Yeah.
The SP400s. So super low profile. They're going to fit on pretty much any board with any pedal. So I think they're 6 inches long.
Yep.
So they'll fit virtually any configuration. Primarily in series pedals, not like switchers or anything like that, but they're exactly what you would use for any pro board. For the instrument cables, those are the Mogami 2524 with the new square plug instrument cable connectors, the SP600s, which are the right angle ones, very, very low profile, and then the SPS 6Ms, which are the straight connectors. Same thing, very low profile. They're kind of like the stubby connectors, very short. So, I mean, they're probably some of the best on the market. And if I'm not mistaken, Interstellar is the first company to use these in a sort of mass-produced fashion, if you would.
Awesome.
These connectors are essentially brand new, and we're the first ones to actually use them actively.
Coming soon. We'll have it out there for you guys soon.
Yep.
Coming very, very soon.
Very, very soon. You know what I liked that you guys kind of skipped over? You guys talk about the technical stuff, but I you know, come on, man. When you're on stage, you want to look cool, right? Just maybe sometimes,
Yep.
just a little bit.
Yep.
These things look friggin' cool. We've got one in alien green, and
That's
the
right.
others in, you know, traditional space black. Space.
That's right.
But they look really super clean. I mean, honestly, I'm more leaning towards the alien green nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
It fitted in Vince's, you know, porn studio back there real well.
Dude, they look awesome in person.
They
Like,
really do.
Yeah.
It's one of those cables that when you see them, you know it's Interstellar,
Yeah.
and I love it.
It's
So, yeah.
very cool.
Pick one up as soon as we get them going. We'll let you guys know for sure.
They'll be available in different sizes, different configurations, pretty much whatever you could need them for. So, yeah, you'll want them.
Yeah, that's the one thing I was going
That's
to
my
mention.
marketing.
Yeah. It's just like,
You're gonna want them.
you're going to want them. If you don't buy them, you're stupid. Stupid.
Damn right.
Why are you going to spend all this money on this amazing pedal and then not plug it in the proper cables, man?
That's right. That's right.
Dude, it's going to be good times. I can't wait.
I'm excited.
I want to see that first picture of like somebody on stage rocking it out with like the lights hitting it. You know what I mean? That'd be sick.
I mean, on a Guns N' Roses tour or something.
Yeah. Richard
Perhaps.
Fortis. This little guy playing
He
this little
froze.
band called Guns N'
Because he
Roses.
started talking about Guns N' Roses.
And he doesn't have a Wi-Fi cable
Yep.
or Ethernet.
Remember that Ethernet cable we told you to get a month ago?
I just went into another K-hole. Yeah, but it's entertaining for me, guys. It's entertaining for me.
Okay.
And
The best was still Vince when he was frozen.
Oh yeah.
when he's just like, that was the best one. That was episode 1, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was the first
So
episode.
if
yeah.
you're just picking up,
hell of a way to start off.
if you're just picking
But
up on the
yes.
Interstellar Escape Pod, go back to episode 1. Look for Vince and his twin brother,
Yeah.
Roberto. Roberto, maybe.
Victor.
Victor.
Bruno.
Victor.
His name is Bruno. But yes, it's hopefully on the Guns N' Roses tour or Alanis Morissette tour,
Yep,
Bon Jovi tour,
Jovi.
Widespread Panic tour.
that's right. All using
getting out.
the interstellar world.
That's right.
So cool.
So if you have all these big names using them and you're not using them, then you're wrong.
yeah.
Just gonna put that out there.
Hey, I'm Ricky Bobby. If you don't chew Big Red, then you. You know what I'm saying? That's what we should change the slogan to in the marketing, right?
It's a pack of wild dogs.
Packs of wild dogs roaming the streets. Well, I don't know, man. It's, you guys got anything else you want to add to this train wreck of an episode? No, I feel like we covered a lot of great stuff. Vince,
Yeah.
talked about a lot of. I actually got to give you some more kudos, man, because I was very.
That Ethernet cable's looking better and better, huh?
There you are.
I'm buying. I'm going on Amazon right after this, and I'm buying one. I'm gonna 2-day that shit.
Get
right
the
here.
1,000-foot
It's
one.
coming. The 1,000-foot.
Just get the whole spool.
Just wrap it around my whole house.
You might as well.
Well, I think Cat
And-
5 can only be like 300 feet.
Well, get whatever the max is. Get you a staple gun. Put it all along like
Let's see. I don't know.
the baseboard and
I got to get like some kind of thing like to plug it into.
You get an adapter from Apple.
a little adapter guy.
So, yeah. But yeah, we did cover a lot of cool stuff in this episode, thanks to Vince and Vagabond Audio.
Mm-hmm.
we'll do a follow up with like signal chain and all that kind of stuff later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whenever we feel like it.
And if anybody does watch this, comment, leave us a little note, tell us what you want to see.
That's right. We'll see you guys next time on the Interstellar Escape Pod.
Hit the bell for notifications, right?
Bing, 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 bing.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Didn't you just
all
say
the fun
that?
stuff.
I thought
No.
we were wrapping out of the show. I thought we were done.
No.
No, we came back around for another circle.
Well, we had to add that
Always.
other stuff in there.
Can we do like a long distance digital high five? Insert sound effect here. Awesome.
Boom.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.